There is a billboard on northbound I-25 that is just before the Montgomery exit that is creating quite a bit of controversy. Oops. Next to a picture of the nativity scene, the billboard says, "Just skip church. It's all fake news." And then under that in smaller print, it says, "Happy Holidays from the American Atheists." Sorry, technical difficulties here. All right. Well, it seems that every year, just after Thanksgiving, two things seem to signify the start of the holiday season. The suddenly unavoidable presence of Christmas music in every public space, and the declaration by religious conservatives that secular society is waging a war on Christmas. And the weapon of choice in this annual assault is the phrase, "Happy Holidays." How offensive. Don't let me catch any of you saying it, okay? This phrase, religious conservatives argue, is being used with the explicit intent to replace the phrase, "Merry Christmas." And certainly we must be aware of the slippery slope. If Merry Christmas gets phased out, then it's only a matter of time before Christianity becomes outlawed, and Christians are rounded up and jailed. Well, that's the argument anyway. And I don't mean to poke fun at Christians. I do mean to point this out about a very specific segment of religious conservatives that make this argument. And this particular argument, well, I think it's ridiculous. With over 90% of Congress identifying as Christian, I doubt that any laws are going to get through any time in the foreseeable future that bans Christianity in the public arena. I really do think that most people understand that saying Happy Holidays is merely a way to recognize that there are, in fact, quite a few holidays observed by various cultural, religious, and faith traditions during the same winter season. And Happy Holidays is an inclusive way to offer someone warm regards without making assumptions as to which tradition or traditions an individual might observe. The use of Happy Holidays doesn't mean that Merry Christmas is no longer allowed. It just means it's not the only option. However, when I drive past that controversial billboard on I-25, I have to wonder, although it may not be a full-on declaration of war, it does at least appear to be a shot fired across the bow. I can certainly understand why Christians would be upset seeing that billboard. Just skip church, it's all fake news, seems to imply that Christianity, or any religious tradition that meets in a church, has nothing true or valuable to offer. We meet in a church. Do any of you find the billboard offensive? While I'm pretty sure that our creedless community, or the fact that it is creedless, makes us something of an exception to the targets of that billboard, if I thought that that billboard was talking about our church, then yeah, I would definitely be offended. I think there is plenty of value to be found in attending this church on a regular basis. I think there's a lot of value in belonging to a beloved community that can help each of us become spiritually grounded as we do our work for justice. And whether or not you personally find the billboard offensive, I find it, at the very least, problematic that it seems designed specifically to antagonize and give the war on Christmas proponents something to point out that supports their case. The claim of a war on Christmas is a prime example of what Unitarian Universalist columnist Doug Muter calls privileged distress. which he describes as occurring when society progresses towards justice and favored groups start losing some of their privilege. To members of these groups, the loss of privilege can feel like oppression. So when this happens, it's common for members of the now slightly less privileged groups to want to return to a time when their privilege went unquestioned. Make America Great Again is a blatant example of that sentiment playing out in our country right now. And as a side note, maybe we can take it as a small consolation that, as harmful as this ideology might be, it arose in response to social and moral progress. So maybe we're doing something right. But I digress. Back to privilege distress. As this nostalgic sentiment applies to the war on Christmas folks, I wonder if they would be so quick to want to return to the good old days of Christmas if they knew the history of Christmas. If you go back far enough, you'll find that it was actually Christians that were the ones declaring a war on Christmas. In the 1600s, the Puritans in New England were outspoken opponents of the Christmas holiday, calling Christmas nothing more than a pagan festival with a Christian veneer. And they were right. Back then, there is no evidence, biblical or otherwise, suggesting that Jesus' birth occurred on or even near December 25th. In fact, most historical sources believe that Jesus was born not even in the wintertime. It was probably in the spring or maybe in the fall, when the shepherds could be out in the fields tending their flocks all night. However, in the first few centuries of Christianity's formation and development, it officially came to recognize December 25th as the birthday of Jesus. And it did so because of its proximity to pagan holidays, Yule and solstice and Saturnalia. The idea in placing it there was that it would be easier to convert pagans to Christianity if they were kind of partying all at the same time and celebrating all at the same time. And then they could just kind of transfer the source of that celebration from Yule to Jesus. So that was kind of how it came about. And with this mixing of pagan traditions into Christian Christmas, the traditions had nothing to do with the birth of Jesus, but we still celebrate them as part of Christmas today. They're things like the Christmas tree, the Yule log, candles, mistletoe, and holly. Symbols of the season. Now, this was back in 400s. By the time of the Puritans, Christmas would evolve, or more accurately, devolve, into a holiday more like a Mardi Gras festival than a pious day of religious observance. It was marked by debauchery and rabble-rousing, and one Anglican priest noted that men dishonor Christ more in the 12 days of Christmas than in all the 12 months besides. It's a lot of debauchery. Common practices included heavy drinking and then going door to door to the wealthiest homes and demanding to be served the best food and drink in the house. This was often accompanied by threats of violence and vandalism if their demands were not met. Is this the Christmas that modern-day Christians who claim there is a war on Christmas want to return to? This is what they're trying to reclaim? Well, as it turns out, maybe aggressive panhandlers and street-side windshield cleaners have a better sense of the true Christmas spirit than the folks with fancy Christmas light displays and inflatable yard decorations. When we look at the history of Christmas, it would appear that there is no single pure version of Christmas to return to. It has always been a blending of cultures and traditions. It seems to me that more accurate than a war on Christmas, what we're seeing and what we're actually a part of is a war for Christmas. The war is about who gets to claim it, define it, and decide its future. So that brings up the question, what does, or even better, what should Christmas mean to us, here and now? Now, for some, it's about the divinity of Jesus. For some, it's about the music and the carols. For some, it's about the presents. But for all of those differences, the talk about a war on Christmas seems to miss the spirit of what Christmas at its best is about. And that's peace. It's in all the carols. Peace on earth, goodwill to all. Christmas is an opportunity to embrace peace. It's a reminder to work for a better world, to treat each other respectfully and assume the best about others. Isn't that what goodwill means? Peace on earth and mercy mild. Reconciliation. Christmas is an opportunity to embrace peace. May it be a reminder for us to be with our families and to seek out our loved ones, to amend and forgive and make peace in our homes. If I have any claim to Christmas, may it be a season of peace. I wave the white flag of surrender in the war on Christmas. I don't want to fight. Around this time every year, my wife Emily and I receive cards and photos and holiday letters from many of our friends who live near and far. We get to read about their lives, about new jobs, new pets, new kids, new homes, promotions, adventures, travels, hardships and challenges, health problems, lost jobs, and lost loved ones. And at the bottom of those letters, they sign them Merry Christmas. And they sign them Happy Holidays. And they sign them peace, joy, and love. And they sign them warm wishes. And honestly, it doesn't even matter how they sign them, because the message is absolutely clear. There is not even the slightest hint of war in their words. There is only the true, deep peace of Christmas. I'd like to close with a poem called The Essence by G.M. Capel. Discard the myths and legends for what they are. Strip away the accretions of the centuries. Abandon the traditional half-pagan observances, the feasting and drinking, the spurious goodwill, the alcoholic bonhomie. End the materialism, the commercialism, the whole whirl of meaningless activity. And what will remain? With unimagined clarity, there will be experienced an intermission, a quietness, a stillness of the spirit, a strange awareness of the infiltration of human life by some divine essence. Bring with it an indescribable peace, which is at once the mystery and the reality that is called Christmas. And now I'd like to invite you all to join me in singing our closing hymn. You'll find it in the gray hymnal. It's number 245, Joy to the World. May you have the gladness of Christmas, which is hope, the spirit of Christmas, which is peace, and the heart of Christmas, which is love. Merry Christmas.